Want to learn how I generated $130,000 in my first year of business as a new grad, all without paid ads? In this video, I'll show you the exact organic marketing strategies that helped me replace my income and build long-term sustainable growth. From creating partnerships with gyms and wellness facilities to hosting workshops that bring in clients on autopilot, you'll learn how to optimize your marketing and make your practice stand out. Let's dive in and unlock these strategies that will allow you to replace your income and generate over $100,000 in your first year as well. All right, guys, so let's dive into this. So the scope of this is the workshop framework applies to cash-based PTs looking to offer workshops, build rapport with potential clients, and convert attendees into paying patients. So if you're a cash-based PT trying to generate more new patients from conducting workshops, you're in the right place. So I want to also start by saying that this is a tried and true method and process that where I've done over 100 of these workshops, our clients have done hundreds, if not thousands of workshops, so we know what works at this point. So I want to give you a step-by-step breakdown of how to go about conducting these so you can create new patients on demand from these workshops. So I want to start out by prefacing the effectiveness of a workshop depends as much on how you teach as on what you teach. Building rapport and trust is critical for converting attendees into clients. Customize this framework to fit your style. Follow these core steps. So make this into your own because you want to make sure that you are exhibiting your personality and your own spin on things because people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And part of getting somebody to like you is by being yourself and being authentic because people will pick up on that if you're not. So be yourself, but use this general framework to guide you on how to conduct these successfully. So key concepts. Teach the material effectively. Make sure that you are engaging with the audience and rather than just teaching raw content delivery. Like one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is creating like a PowerPoint and just reading straight off the PowerPoint the entire time and pretty much doing it more like a lecture. Nobody likes to be lectured at. They want to be up and moving. They want to be engaged with. They want to have fun, not just get talked at for an hour. And that's where I see a lot of people go wrong with this. So make sure that you are engaging with the audience. We'll discuss about how to go doing that as well. All right, be genuine. Your personality, whether you're serious, funny, or fashionable, should come through. Again, authenticity builds trust, like I mentioned earlier. And again, use this framework that fits your style. Adapt the approach based on your unique strengths. Everybody's got different strengths, everybody's got different weaknesses, and that's okay. Just be yourself and follow this general framework. So pre-workshop setup. Ideally, if you're just starting out, you might just be a one-person model. Okay, what I mean by that is you don't have anybody else to help you at these workshops. If you have like a spouse or like you have an part-time admin, a two-person model approach is recommended. It makes it easier. What I mean by that is you would be the presenter, you lead the workshop, but then you also have like an assistant, an admin, or a spouse or a friend that handles logistics. They check attendees and help answer follow-up questions. Okay, and most importantly, help get people scheduled. So check-in process, use a digital platform for attendee sign-ins and pre-built follow-up sequences. What I mean by this is one of the best ways to we want to collect people's information, and we do this by having them sign a liability waiver. You also want to cover your butts that you don't want to get sued for things that you delivered at the workshop. So we have clients fill out a liability waiver. They scan a QR code when they walk in or before the workshop and complete this liability form. It has their first name, their email, and their phone number. And this is how we also follow up with people as well. So make sure that you are checking people in using ideally an online platform to collect their information and kill two birds with one stone with making sure that you are not held liable for anything as well. So workshop execution, 3 E's: educate, entertain, execute. I mean by that, educate, teach new concepts, and provide valuable information. Like actually over deliver. What I'm trying to do in this hour is blow them away with as much value as possible. Like my first workshop was like, I don't want to give away the farm and think that, oh, if I give them everything that they need, that they won't come back or they won't want to see me. While that, I understand that thing because again, I did the same thing. It's just simply not true. There is a balance to that, and I will help you guys out with that later in this training on how to balance that. But you really want to try and over deliver as much as possible. Okay, next is entertain. Engage participants with humor and charisma. You want to be interacting with each person. You want to make each person feel special. Execute, deliver what you promise, ensuring that attendees gain the value that they were expected. Like if you have a squat workshop, make sure that you actually delivered on 3 different exercises that they can do, different tests that they can do, that they can take home and really implement right away to improve their squat mobility or overhead mobility. Whatever that workshop is, you want to make sure that they leave feeling like they got exactly what they signed up for. So workshop structure: introduce yourself, establish credibility, explain what attendees will learn. This starts even earlier. The introduction starts even earlier than the intro for the workshop. When people are walking in, you want to be greeting them. You don't want to be off into a corner, not engaging with people. Make sure that you are approaching people as they walk in, introducing yourself, and starting up conversation. Okay, that's going to help people be much more opened up to you and much more engaged throughout the entire workshop because that ice has already been broken. And I'm an introvert. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you really got, if you're an introvert like myself, it's just something you got to get over and something you just have to put yourself out there if you really want to be successful with these workshops. And it does get easier. The more that you do these workshops, the easier it gets. And I want to let you know, you're not going to feel super 100% comfortable or confident or really essentially effective on that first workshop. It takes reps, but through this training, I'm going to try and get you up to speed as much as possible so you can see success on that very first workshop. Keep the introduction short and focus on the benefits that the audience will get. You don't want to get there and just up there and start talking about yourself for 5 or 10 minutes. Like, yes, go over your credentials, but you want to talk about the types of people that you help. You can tell stories. Like, stories are really powerful here. Tell 1 or 2 stories of a patient similar to probably the attendees and what the results were and who you specialize in helping. Talk about who you help, make it as much applicable and focused on the attendees, not just sitting up there talking about yourself. All right. And then really the goal with this introduction is to just show that you're charismatic and that you're human and that you're relatable, approachable, likable. That's the main thing with this introduction. And also instilling hope that they can get back, they can as well, just like the people that you told stories about, that they can also accomplish those same goals, whether that is if they're having knee pain with squats, low back pain with deadlifts, shoulder pain with overhead press, that they can overcome those things and giving them, instilling hope, okay, through stories. Next one is a teaching and testing framework. So you really want to, big thing with this teaching and testing framework is through each of the workshop, we ideally want to give them 3 tests that they can do. So like if I'm doing a squat mobility workshop, one of the tests I'm going to have take everybody through is the knee to wall test. It's something that's very visual and something that they can visually see a deficit that they have and talk about what norms are and how this can actually impact their squatting and their depth of their squatting and how this can contribute to knee pain, hip pain, low back pain if it's inadequate. So I want to do 3 tests similar to that. That's very visual so they can see the deficits that they have, because again, nobody's going to work with you if they think they're just hunky-dory, right? And so you need to make sure that you are helping them identify what is causing this issue. And then after that, what I want to do is also take them through 3 exercises, 3 corrective exercises that can help with that mobility, whether that's stuff to do before they squat, like a tailless mobilization with a band. That's something I always did to improve, take them through that ankle mobility test. And if they were limited in that, we can now go over that tailless mobilization for ankle, improve dorsiflexion, improve squat mechanics as well. So make sure that you are educating them on why certain exercises are going to help them and how that attributes back to the test that you just took them through. So ideally what you want to do is get somebody out of the audience that has really terrible like squat mechanics or squat mobility. Like they can't get deep into squat. That's the person that you want to bring up and have kind of as your example, because you are going to also take them through those exercises and then you can do test, retest. So you can have them test their ankle mobility, have them do those exercises while you're walking everybody else through it. And then so time's gone on, they've now made changes and improvements, hopefully in that mobility if you choose the right exercises. Choose exercises that create changes immediately. And so like the tailless mobilization is something that helps with dorsiflexion immediately. So I'm having them go through that exercise while I'm explaining it and walking around, making sure that everybody else is doing it correctly. And then we bring them, get the attendees back, and then have them, that individual, show them, hey, now let's retest this and see how much their ankle mobility has improved, okay? So you want to repeat this process ideally for 3 to 5 techniques to allow for engagement. And really the goal with this framework is to reveal the deficits of the attendees, okay? Because again, nobody's gonna work with you if they think everything's fine. And also it goes back to delivering on what you made promises for, that they would get something actionable and valuable out of this, okay? And then second of all, the other goal with this is to show them that you know what you're talking about and that you just got this person that had terrible ankle mobility, almost not perfect ankle mobility, but significant improvements. So something to note too is flow control. Be assertive in guiding the group through transitions to stay on schedule. Avoid side conversations and keep the group focused. It's very easy for then, and there's a balance to this, where people are asking lots of questions and getting off on tangents. You want to make sure that you are keeping this concise. We ideally want this workshop no more than 60 minutes, and we want to leave about 10 or 15 minutes at the end for questions. So make sure that you're staying on schedule and not getting off on these side tangents with questions that people have as they're going through things. The goal of the flow control is keep engagement high, but not overdoing it where you are now turning an hour workshop into an hour and a half, especially if you're doing this workshop on a weekend. Nobody wants to spend most likely 2 hours at a workshop. Okay, they got other things to do on the weekend. And you also risk people getting bored and tuning out. So you've conducted the workshop, Went over the intro, went over 3 different assessments that you took them through, gave them 3 exercises. They have a clarity on where their deficits are. They have now 3 exercises that they've gone through. They've seen somebody with terrible ankle mobility or terrible hip mobility go through this and see immediate improvements, because when you can show somebody that you can make changes like that, you get a lot of buy-in, and it shows that you know exactly what you're talking about, and you build a lot of trust with people as well. Let's talk about the post-workshop interaction and the pitch. This is the most important part. I see a lot of people knock it out of the park because they're so great clinically, going over these 3 exercises, 3 assessments, and they get to the pitch and just butcher it. And I can make an argument this is more important than actually taking them through the really amazing workshop where you have, gave them, honestly, pick poor assessments and poor exercise. I'm not saying to do that, but you could get away with that if your pitch is strong. Okay, that's how important this is. Ideally, just knock it out of the park on all these things, but this is the most important part of the workshop, is the pitch. So let's start about handling questions. So during the workshop, again, answer questions during breakout sessions to ensure understanding, but make sure you don't go over the top. You're also going to get questions after the workshop. So stay to answer all questions and use this time to discuss individual concerns and provide further guidance. Do not diagnose or prescribe, okay? Not just from a medical and liability perspective, but this is a part where you can give false impressions that they have all the answers that they need to take care of this on themselves, by themselves. And you'll get more of the people, I'm just going to try these exercises and see how they go. So don't be like prescribing, telling people that, this is what's going on. Here's another exercise that I think would be great for you. Don't give them any more exercise than they already have. They already have enough. The best thing that you can do for them is get them scheduled for an assessment and session with you. Okay, it's not more exercises and more assessments. So don't diagnose or prescribe and dive super deep into people's questions. And that's the thing too, is there's always at least one person that's a chatty Cathy and will be at the front of the line asking you questions. And you got 5 to 10 people behind them waiting to ask questions, and he or she is taking up all the time. And you'll start seeing the worst thing is this person asking 21 questions, and you see people on the line leaving and heading for the doors because they don't want to spend any more time waiting in line. So you want to make sure that this is where it's ideal to have a second person. You want to encourage them, and we'll talk about the pitch in just a second, but you want to encourage these individuals to sign up, put their name down with their phone information, and sign up for a phone call with you. We did let them know that, hey, it's a free 15-minute phone conversation, and we'll discuss if we can actually help and get you scheduled for an official assessment after that phone call, after we know that we can absolutely help. And if we can't, we'll point you in the direction of somebody that can. So this is where it's important to make sure that when you're answering questions that you also have a sheet where people can sign up and put their name down versus them leaving and you never collecting their information or having an opportunity to talk to them. All right. So converting attendees, a big thing is solid pitch. Deliver a strong sales pitch at the end of the workshop. Encourage attendees to book appointments and offer help with specific problems. All right. So if using assistant, have the assistant book appointments on site and answer logistical questions. There's 2 schools of approaches with this. You can book them immediately for an appointment, or you can book them for a free 15-minute phone conversation. I personally like the free 15-minute phone conversation versus scheduling them for an appointment, because I want to set expectations that this is not just a one and done. There's so many, if you guys haven't seen training on our sales training, definitely get the script from us, because it will help decrease the people just coming in for one-offs. We used to just book appointments at the end of assessments, and we just got so many people, they would come in for the appointment, but they were completely sticker shock by follow-up appointments, and they rarely ever continued on. So by booking them for a phone call, it allows us to set expectations and takes them through the entire patient experience of that first phone call and increase the likelihood that them not just continue on for just one or just coming in for that assessment and leaving. Okay, they have a better understanding. All right, so delivering the sales pitch framework, reinforce value, assure attendees that what they learned will help them regardless of whether they book with you. And that's the thing too, is you want to let their guard down, be like, hey, got a lot of actionable stuff here. Stuff can be helpful. And then you kind of explain like why there's another level to this and how you can help them further. So again, call out the problem, ask attendees to raise their hand if they are pain-free. This highlights that most participants experience discomfort, okay? You really want to make sure that you are getting them to take action and admit that they need help. This can be done at the end of the workshop or at the beginning, where you just want to get a show of hands, be like, hey, who here is at this workshop, you're doing a squat workshop, be like, hey, who here is here because they have pain with squatting? Okay, most of the hands you're going to see come up, all right? And that's just getting them to verbalize that they actually have a problem that needs to be fixed, okay? It's really, really powerful. because then you offer a solution to that immediately after. And we'll go into that in just a second. So offer solutions. Mention how you regularly help people with chronic problems and provide solutions. Again, telling stories at the beginning and telling stories at the end is really powerful, because you want to start planting those seeds of those stories, because people really relate to storytelling and respond really well to that. So I really like to include 2 or 3 stories of some other people similar to them that I've helped and what their results were, what they were struggling with, yada, yada. Encourage immediate action. Let attendees know that you can answer the questions after the workshop and that you're able to help them find the right solution, even if it's with somebody else, okay? So we want to let them know that, hey, come up and talk to me. Set up a phone call. There's no harm. It doesn't cost anything. I want to make sure that you get the help that you need, whether it's with me or somebody else. That's something I mentioned at the end of the workshop, all right? So how do we go about structuring the offer? What I like to do is usually $100 off. This works really well if like your pricing is at $199, then it's only $99 for the assessment. So I'm like, I let them know, hey, because you are here today, we are giving you guys a special. Typically this evaluation is $199, but because you guys are here today, you guys all get $100 off. So it's only $99 for an assessment. From there, we add urgency. So what we want to do is we want them to take action now, because if they don't, it's very likely that they're going to sign up going forward. So we let them know, hey, this offer is only good and only applies if you sign up immediately after this workshop. So you want urgency. Next one is scarcity. Be like, hey, there's 10 of you at this workshop. We're only allowing 3 of these we're only reserving 3 of these specials for 3 of you out of the 10. It's come, first serve. Get your name down, and we will set up a time to schedule a call to make sure that we can absolutely help before getting you scheduled. Okay, so that's the call to action. Is like, hey, put your name down, come up, put your name on the sheet, phone number, and book like your assistants there, they can get them scheduled for that phone call. Ideally, if you have like Calendly or a booking system that gives them reminders of this phone call, that goes really well. You can enter them in that system so you get reminders and you've got their phone number and all that. It just keeps things more simple and straightforward and organized as well. Let them know, come up. This does not reserve you for the assessment. And that's the big thing too, is I like this phone call because it's a nice bridging gap for people, because there's a lot of people that aren't quite comfortable scheduling an assessment right there. They need kind of that gap bridge for that. And that's where this phone call plays a big important piece. And that's why I like doing the book call versus booking an appointment. And it also allows you to set expectations on that first phone call. So the call to action is booking and scheduling that call afterwards to be able to reserve that offer of $100 off, right? Follow up, you also want to make sure that you have a follow-up sequence for those that attended but didn't book immediately, and continue to engage them through email or phone follow-up. So we have a 6 email campaign drip that goes out after the workshop, and then also texting as well that we follow up with them, because some people just aren't quite ready and they just need more time, and their pain point might just be big enough at that time. So we want to make sure that we collect their information to continue to engage and follow up with them as well. Like, no joke, I still get individuals that are reaching out from workshops I've done 3+ years ago. All right, it just happened literally last month that we had a person that reached out, and we asked, hey, we always ask, how'd you hear about us? They're like, oh, Dr. Ben did a workshop at my gym. It was a long time ago, but I started having knee pain or whatever, and I thought you guys might be able to help. So I wanted to hop on a call with you guys and see if I can get scheduled. So that's a great thing too, is like, even if you don't convert some people on these workshops, over time, they will, even years later, these workshops will still provide benefit, okay? So conclusion, workshops can be highly effective in generating business if run correctly. Focus on educating, entertaining, and executing to leave a lasting impression, convert attendees into loyal clients. Regular practice of the pitch and workshop delivery will improve conversion rates over time. So again, just want to highlight, if you struggle with the first couple workshops, know that is normal. I hate for you guys to actually see my first couple workshops, okay? Crash and burn. And so just know that that is normal and you will get better. The main thing here is you guys will be light years ahead of where I was at because you've gone through this training. All right. Also note, if you want my workshop templates, the exact templates that I use and the exact flows, like, hey, we've got like squat mobility workshop, we've got shoulder overhead mobility workshop, we've got like a running workshop. If you guys want these exact templates, so you don't have to think about what exercises to do or what assessments to do, and just want the framework of the exact templates that we use for these workshops, comment templates below and we'll get that over to you guys. I'll see you guys next training.